What if some of the most profound words attributed to Jesus were the ones that history chose to forget? What if a gospel filled with 114 sayings of the living Jesus was set aside, its radical message considered too strange for the official story? These are teachings that don't ask for worship, but offer something else entirely, a path to awakening the divine spark hidden within you. Our story begins not in a hushed cathedral, but in the shimmering sands of Egypt. In December of 1945, near the town of Nag Hammadi, a farmer named Muhammad al-Salman was digging in the soil when his shovel struck a heavy clay jar. He hesitated, fearing a jinn might be trapped inside, but what he found was treasure of a different kind: 13 leather-bound books, codices that had slept in darkness for over 1,500 years. This collection, now known as the Nag Hammadi Library, would send ripples through the world of biblical scholarship. It contained dozens of texts, but among them was a complete copy of a gospel that had been known only through scattered fragments and condemnations by early church leaders, the Gospel of Thomas. This strange book opens with a bold and beautiful claim: "These are the secret sayings which the living Jesus spoke." The witness of Didymus Judas Thomas is written. From that first line, you know you're in unfamiliar territory. There is no story of a nativity, nor one of an empty tomb. No miracles of walking on water, no narrative of Jesus' life, no crucifixion, and no resurrection. It is simply a collection of 114 sayings, a stream of poetic, cryptic, and powerful utterances. This isn't a book that tells you a story about Jesus. It's a text that invites you to sit with his words and find your own meaning. As the very first saying promises, whoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. Let's explore 3 ideas from this unique text. First, we encounter an entirely new understanding of the kingdom of God. The Gospels we know often describe the kingdom as a future promise or a place in the hereafter. Thomas's Jesus almost scoffs at this. He says, if your leaders say to you, "Look, the Father's imperial rule is in the sky," then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, "It is in the sea," then the fish will precede you. He then reveals a breathtaking alternative. Rather, the Father's imperial rule is inside you and outside you. The kingdom isn't a destination. It's a state of being, a frequency humming just beneath the surface of the world, spread out before us if only we had the eyes to see. Second, we hear about salvation not as a reward, but as a natural consequence of self-discovery. The most radical line in the text says, "Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me there." The sacred isn't confined to a holy place. It breathes in everything. Salvation is not something given from outside. It's something revealed from within. And third, Jesus blurs the lines between himself and his followers. He doesn't speak of himself as separate from his disciples, but as one of them, saying, "We are all one." He doesn't even refer to God as a distant father, but as our Father who is in you and you are in him. So if these teachings are so resonant, why did they fade from view? The answer lies in the complex currents of early Christianity. In the first few centuries, there wasn't one single version of Christianity, but a vibrant and diverse collection of beliefs. One powerful stream of thought was Gnosticism, which taught that salvation came from Gnosis, a Greek word for knowing. The Gospel of Thomas, with its focus on secret wisdom and looking inward, was embraced by such groups, but as a more unified church structure began to form, it needed a unified message, a sort of control mechanism, teachings that celebrated a direct, personal, and internal path to God could be seen as a challenge to an institution built on the authority of bishops and sacraments. A gospel that says you can find God by knowing yourself lessens the need for an official guide. And so, as a single orthodox view solidified, texts like Thomas were declared heretical. They were marginalized and neglected, eventually disappearing. some perhaps buried for safekeeping by those who cherished them, waiting in the desert to be found again. The Gospel of Thomas doesn't ask you to worship Jesus. It asks you to understand his words, and through them to understand yourself. It suggests that the greatest spiritual pilgrimage isn't a journey to a holy land, but the one that travels inward to the spirit. These weren't just lost words. They were a lost current in a deep river, a current that whispers that the divine isn't a distant king to be petitioned, but a living presence to be awakened, hidden in plain sight and living inside of you. Did you know this?